Because I was trying to figure when was the first moment I wanted to start dancing. I remember I was very young. I could not have been 10 years old at that time. And I think maybe my aunt might have taken me to see a musical. And I was so excited about that, I came home and started repeating what I saw in the movies. I danced in the kitchen, I danced in the living room, I danced all over the house. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a dancer. At an early age, I said, if I could only get to Broadway and be in the chorus, in the back, not in the front, in the back. I said, I can make it that far. If I can get in the back of the chorus line, I probably couldn't make it to the front. And that was my goal. That was all it was, just to be in the chorus line on Broadway, in the back. I never could study dance because my father wouldn't allow me to. He was a Baptist minister, evangelist, and dancing was completely out of the question. And he was very strict about that with all my 5 brothers. We were always taught manners and how to be polite and never make waves. That's another thing, because if you did something wrong with the Caucasian race, you would have retribution because of that. And not until probably I got into maybe high school, I began to realize that's a problem here. What is this problem? And it was a problem, you know. And so as time went ahead, you know, I drew more and more to the world of dance. When I saw Gene Kelly dance, I said, that's what I want to do. And that's what inspired me, was the musical. Throughout high school, I danced. Whenever there was a program, I danced in high school with a partner. I always had a girl partner. And throughout college, I danced. I was supposed to go to Howard University, but my brothers found out that Howard University had a dance department. And so my father sent me to a theological seminary to be a minister. And I said, I'm not going to be a minister. So I stayed there for the 4 years and got my Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics. I said, now when I finish college, I can now go to New York and become a dancer. But guess what happened? That was the time the war broke out. And then Uncle Sam said, I want you.
December 7, 1941.
I ended up in the infantry, carrying an M1 rifle. Oh, I hated that. Went to Germany, ended up in Bremerhaven. And when I got there, it was a cold and dreary night. I'll never forget that. I can always see that. The trip across the ocean was horrible in a sense. You could smell the diesel fuel of the ships. And I said, oh, I'm dead now. I'm never going to be a dancer. This is the end of my career. That's it. They had a service club for the soldiers where they put on shows. I went there one day, and the hostess was asking the guys just in general, say, did anyone dance, sing, da-da-da, whatever? Because we want to put a show on. And I said, I do. And doing so, she said, oh, great. She said, what do you do? I said, I dance. And she said, oh, that's great. We need a dancer. She said, come to rehearsal tomorrow. Came to rehearsal with my St. Louis Blues album. And she said, you're going to dance to all of that? And I said, yeah. So she said, now we got to get you a costume. I said, okay. And she said, we can get you a T-shirt. And I said, but what kind of T-shirt? She said, I know you one of mine. And I said, a ladies' T-shirt? And she looked at it and she said, you need something else. And she said, I have a beret. And she put the beret on my head and she said, look at yourself. It reminded me of Gene Kelly of the movies. And I said, I like that look very much. Okay, the night of the dance came for the soldiers. And when we got there, all these soldiers in this place, they all drinking beer, sitting at that table, and the stage was way to the front of the room. And I told her, how do I get to the stage? She said, you got to walk here and go to the stage. And I said, I can't do that. She said, well, I don't know how else do we go get there? And I was thinking like crazy. I'm thinking, oh, what can I do? And an image came in my head. I thought about Gene Kelly. And I said, I know. I said, tell them, they had a band on, said, tell the drummer to give me a roll, a drum roll. And keep the roll going until I hit center stage, and then put my record on. I'm standing there, and then all of a sudden, they announced, and the announcement was fantastic. They said, And now we have this dancer from New York City, from the Academy of Ballet, studied with Martha Graham. They gave me such a build-up, and I was going, wow, I didn't know I did all that. And the drum roll started, and I panicked. I started running down the aisle. I slid on my belly, and I came to the stage, and I came up, and the audience went, yeah! From that time on, I was in.
I hate to see the sun go down. I hate to see that evening sun go down. Cause the man I love, he done left the
They even wrote a wonderful letter to Captain Rodriguez in 7th Army headquarters for me to be in special services. So there I stayed in the Army for 2 years dancing for the soldiers. And when I finished the Army, they wanted me to stay and choreograph, and I said, nope, I don't want it. I want to go to New York. In my head, I said, I gotta go to New York. I gotta go to New York. And there I was. I came to New York. Didn't know a soul. $300 in my pocket. I said, I'm gonna make it on Broadway. I'm gonna get there.
Okay, now let's get it over with. Okay?
Let's get it over with.
How old are you now?
Oh my God, I don't know. When you're past 77, you don't talk about it anymore.
You're in your 80s, aren't you now?
I don't want to say.
What do you think about that? Some of you were pooping out on push-ups, and here's a man in his 80s who's just going strong. Let's give him a hand.
You know, we performers are vain. We don't like to get old, but we do. We can't help it. So we get old and we say, oh no, this is what I look like now. I guess at this point in my career, you know, I just wish I could go on with good health and continue to do what I'm doing. But, you know, as we get older, age says and dictates what you can and cannot do.
We'll have Manhattan, the Bronx and Staten Island too.
I got to New York, and of course, my parents still were insisting that I become something other than a dancer. I wasn't looking for security. I was looking for happiness, and I was looking for what I always dreamed I wanted to do.
And my fair lady is a terrific show.
I took jobs, and then when I had days off, I would take like 4 classes a day in dance. And maybe after 2 or 3 days, they said, you know, you can't dance, you're too old, you might as well go home. And that was a blow, that was a shock. I cried all night long. I mean, literally cried. My pillow was wet in the morning. I was past 25, and that was late to start dancing. And so I went to another class, and there I stayed. And I never mentioned my age again. And one day, in one studio, I heard someone beating a hand drum. And I kept hearing it every day I'd go to class. I say, who in the world is that? And they said, that's mathematics. His teaching was the anatomical approach to dance, learning the body in section with the core of the body being in control. And when I saw that, I said, that's what I want. I wanted something that would give me structure like a ballet class, and that was the one. And I studied with him.
Now the head and neck. They must be trained to move in a variety of ways.
Thank you. You can make a circle. You can make a circle. What else can they hit? We did fronts and the backs, and we did side, 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 side with the eyes. And it does a figure eight, figure eight, figure eight, figure eight. And up, push your left shoulder back. And down. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looking good. Front, back, front, back, front, back, front, back. Good. What else can they show? They can roll. Up. Good. Sit up straight.
Well, I can say one thing. When we as blacks were auditioning for Broadway at that time, it was very difficult. Because sometimes we would go, you know, to the audition, and the first thing they would say, thank you very much, but we're not using you all.
Good. Dance. Sit up straight.
They didn't even give us a chance to audition. They just say no. But a lot of the black dancers at that time stopped going to auditions because they felt as though they never were going to be cast. And we come to the, I think it was the Imperial Theater, where they had the audition for this show called Jamaica. And they start juggling people around on stage. And they would put me on one side and they put some other people on the other side. And anybody who was on my side knew they were out of the show because I was not a trained dancer. I was just a person who came for an open audition. And all the professional black dancers were on stage left. And I'm thinking, oh my God, nobody wanted to be in my group. They want to be in the other side. And then after a while, they started mixing up the group. They put right side to the left side, and left side to the right side, and everybody got totally confused. And the end of this whole thing was they were matching people up to make this island of dancers for Lena Horne.
By the Women's League for Israel. I saw for the first time some of the dancers from Lena Horne's show Jamaica, and I thought that you'd enjoy them as much as we did that afternoon.
And so my group was a group that they took.
So here are the Jamaica dancers.
It was very difficult, but I got the job. I did very well. My name is Nat Horne, and ever since I was a small kid, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a dancer, and I have achieved that.